Hello guys, welcome to the channel. Today we came along with me, Kenny is there. Hi Kenny.
Hey Profil, what are we learning today?
Today we'll discuss the differences between three important methods, you can say, or different ways to modify an array. One way is to show by len and splice and slice. So all these approaches we can use in different situations, how we can modify an array. Okay. Some of these approaches will directly modify the original array, and some will, only copy the content. If we are able to change this original array, that is, we know mutate that original array.
Yeah.
And some approaches is immutable or not modifiable. The original array remain intact, but we can get a copy or modified version of it. Okay.
Yeah.
So the first approach, whatever we see in here, this is not very commonly known, but it can be used very effectively. Let's say we have an array with alphabets and we have like 5 elements. So by changing this length property, we can cut down or trim that array. Let's say if we set length to 2, the original array will be modified.
Okay, so you're getting the first 2 elements from that array.
Yes. So if you give like 3, only the array ABC will be retained and the other thing will be disjointed, or the original array will be get modified.
Got it. And it's not an index, but it's a count, right?
Yeah, it's a count. Yeah, right.
Okay.
And also there are 2 different approaches or method. These are the array methods, and most confusing one.
It already looks confusing because one is slice and then one is slice with a P in between.
Yeah. And also these are very widely used by some kind of experienced developers. So having a solid understanding will definitely help to read other people's code. The people who really understand it, they tend to use it more often, because these methods will definitely kind of power user kind of functionality. Okay, slice and splice, in this our example, both try to looks and behave the exactly same. And this will lead to more confusion than solving it.
We'll have to look at a few different examples, I guess, to understand the difference.
Yeah. So before we dive into the example, let me talk about a little bit the high level differences. Splice starts with P, right? Is quite powerful one.
Okay.
So which modify the original array. So A, B, C, D, right? It will just to alphabets only will get modified. That is important thing to know, right?
Yeah.
And also the splice allow us to add a new element into the original array. So not only it can cut and trim down the array and modify the original array, also it can allow us the opportunity to add a new elements as well.
Yeah, got it.
Into the original array. But slice, on the other hand, is not modified this original array.
Got it. Only
based upon the instruction we provided, it will just copy a slice of a particular original array and return it to us. Just to summarize, length will modify this original array. Splice would modify the original array, but slice will copy a section of it and the original array will remain intact.
Yeah.
Okay, now let's see the example in our code editor. So let alphabets, we have like this array. If you get length of 2, then if you try to put alphabets, it will just AB.
Okay. Yeah.
if you try to put this length as well, if you try to 2, it should be 2 only. Because anyway, we change the property.
So we're changing the original length from 5 to 2, and so the remaining 3 elements are like destroyed or deleted.
Yeah, this should deleted. Let's say if you try to update to more value. So here we can see length would be increased with the 5 empty elements.
Okay.
Right. And if you try to access there, comes as undefined.
Got it.
But I also don't know what is the difference between empty elements and undefined. Maybe this is, editor only causing this, showing these empty elements, but there is no concept of the empty items or something like that.
I think it's just beautifying the result so that we are getting the idea.
Yeah, but if you try to access, let's say that number 9 or something, it is returning undefined. So if you try to access that values after this E, then that will return as undefined.
Yeah. So using length, we can increase and decrease the size of the array.
Yes, yes. But if you want to quickly trim an array, if you got a bigger element, if you just trim that array, so you can use this length property to trim down array, Now let's see that.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
This is the simplest way that I do delete some elements that are continuous, right? That is after the or how would I say, like towards the end of the array, if you want to delete so many items, then this is a easy way to do.
Yes, towards the end. Only if you want to retain the first 3 elements, then you can do 3 and the other thing will be remain. Now let's explore about that, 2 very commonly used and confused one. See, whenever we use any array function, right, one important thing to know, it is sometimes very much confused. Like how it is going to impact this original array. That is one thing. Is the original array got modified or not? Because that is sometimes very confusing, because for example, if you do this, so you are not assigning anywhere, okay? But whether this original array will be going to affected or not, you have to be very crystal clear about it. As I said, Splice, this original array will be affected. So if you print it, this time it is this tool. I have not done console.log, but whatever it is returning, it is just printing it out. Okay, just ignore for the time being. Or just to simplify, I just put this mod. Let me print both the thing.
Okay.
So if you see this alphabets, is get modified.
Yeah, original is getting modified. Yeah.
And this mod is not same as alphabets. Both are through different set of arrays.
Yeah.
So the original array is modified and the return value is also different.
Yes.
And to know what's going on to the hood, Splice with the letter P, this is the 0 index. Means this is the A, the 0th index. And this is the delete count. And in JavaScript, it is utmost confusion that what this second parameter is, stands for.
Yeah.
Is it the last index and up to last index, not including the last index, or it is a count?
Yeah, true. Do you want to look at the documentation? Do you want to look at the documentation and figure it out, or just play around with it?
Yeah, but most of the time we are very lazy to go into the Google into any document, and all the time, every time you should not look. You can look obviously, but sometimes you're reading the code and you just assume lots of things.
Yeah. But
knowing this Splice, few utility as important as Splice will definitely helpful. So and come back to the parameters. this 0 is the first index A, and this 2 is the delete count. Okay. Delete count means 2, 1 and 2. So this 2 element from the beginning of the array will be deleted. And whichever the element is deleted, that will be part of this new array. It will return that deleted arrays. That's why if you see mod, the second time, let me switch it up. That's why if you see this mod, it is AB. And if you see this alphabets, it is also modified like CBE.
Yeah.
And if let's say if you want to do from 1, then B and C will be deleted. And A, D, E will be stored, alphabets will be modified. Alphabets will contain A, B, D, and E. And mod will contain B and C. If you want to do 3, B, C, D. Sorry, 1.
Yeah.
This is the modified one, B, C, D. And original array will contain A, E. And this is also one more very powerful one. After this third element, right, you can put any junk here. So it will delete this 3 element, but instead of that, it will replace with the junk or whatever you insert it.
Okay.
In this position. Starting from 1 position, it will delete this how many number you want to say, but it will again insert it with the what are the value provided.
Okay.
So you can insert age number as value also.
Okay.
XYZ. So it will first do the scanning from 1, then it will delete the 3, and again it will go back this 1, and it will keep on entering these values.
It's like a search and replace kind of a thing. Similar to that.
Yeah, kind of. But it's a little bit better not to confuse with that analogy.
Okay.
But part is like deleting because we are not searching. But anyway, let's not go to that. 0. So it 0 to 3 deleted, and this junk and XYZ put instead of that. Okay.
Yeah.
So if you see that, coming to our own example, 0 to 2, AB mod will contain 0 to 2 like AB and CDE. And just to in our slide, I get just to confuse further, I put this mod instead of mod, I put these alphabets.
Yeah, let you
later I should not use. So that both are looking same, but if you don't, but nobody, you should not do that. If possible, try to assign to some other value.
Yeah, that gets confusing.
Yeah. And instead of splice, if you do the same thing with the slice, if you notice this alphabets, this array is not got modified. Right? Alphabet is still C, A, B, C, D, E.
Yeah.
But if you see the mod, which is exactly same as 0 to
2. Yeah.
And now there is a bit confusion. Just to explain that confusion here. One is splice and another one is slice. So both are 0 to
mod 2. The last console log mod 2 was 2.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, thanks, Kenny. Yeah. Oh,
So Splice is removing those items from the original alphabets, right?
Okay. I was just,
Right.
yeah, that's
So
true.
so A and B are being removed and in mod 1, and alphabets
Actually, it is
become
not.
C, D, E.
I don't want to do this.
Huh.
Added to more confusion. Let me do. Sometimes because the original array is modified, better to create with a different array. Yeah, this is what I want to explain. Because what happened, this splice modified this original array. That's why we got a little bit confusing result. No, what I try to explain, right? Alphabets 1, if you try to do splice, then 0 index to 2 length, it will delete and assign it to mod 1. So mod 1 would be AB. And
Yes.
slice will also check 0 to up to 2 index. Then it will copy that array mod 2. And if you try to print console.log, alphabets 1, you can see that. I think it's getting unnecessarily confusing.
I mean, like it illustrates the thing, but yeah, a lot of things are moving around.
Yeah, if you see that splice, it original array is modified, but in case of slice, such original array doesn't modify.
Yeah.
Okay, but the interesting thing I want to explain here over here is that if you do 1 here, so it will go from B and C, 2 element, it will delete and assign it to mod 1.
Okay.
So if you change slice 1 to 2, then what will happen, Kenny?
I mean, I think it will be a little confusing.
Yeah,
But both will be behaving.
Don't you think it should be
I
BC
think,
only?
Yeah, it should be, but I'm expecting something different here right now.
Yeah. So if you try to do 1, so if you see here, it is 1B only.
Why is that?
Yeah. So do you want to explain, Kenny, about this?
Yeah, so Splice is going from an index and taking the count of elements as the second argument, right? So you're in Splice, what you're saying is start from index number 1 and take 2 elements, right? So that is where we are getting the B and the C for the mod 1 result. But in Slice, what we're saying is we are giving it both as index, not as the count. So starting from index 1 up to 2. So up to 2 means actually 2 minus 1. So it does not include the second element. So here first index is B and the next index is of course C, but up to 2. So we are only taking B, right?
Yep. So if you do 2 over here.
Yeah.
So it is CD, but if you do in the slice, if you try to do 2, it is empty array.
We won't get anything. Yeah. It's an interesting way to think about it, and all the time I get confused.
Yeah. And we'll put this link about in the YouTube video below. One is Splice. They given detailed example, and as we mentioned, it is a delete count. And this is the number to insert, right?
Okay.
And this is about slice and different combination you can try, and you can use negative also. That we just leave it for about confusion.
Too much confusing.
Yeah. So this tutorial is really nice if you can play around with that to get in feel of it. But I hope it is useful, this video. Kenny, you want to add anything, concluding remark?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it is not something I use daily. So I tend to forget what does what. So most often I have to come and look into some documentation because otherwise I might be doing the wrong thing. So I try not to assume anything, I just come to the documentation, read it once, and then I refresh my memory. Then I use the correct one. So that is usually my my workflow. So and I don't think everyone would be able to like directly remember this like every day unless you're using it constantly, right?
Yeah,
What do you
that's
think?
true. Yeah, that's true. There is no side way to check the documentation, but you spend some time into understanding, learning again and again. So this two, understanding these two will definitely helpful.
I think next time I might remember this because we had this talk.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. Have a good day ahead. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.